Biden said Americans would have to put up with high gas prices for, quote, as long as it takes due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, unquote. But 3 days later in New Orleans, the Vice President, Kamala Harris, said that lowering the price of gas was, quote unquote, probably the Biden administration's top priority. This has led President Biden in recent weeks to attack the oil companies, saying they only care about profits and not the well-being of the average consumer. Only this week, President Biden tweeted that, quote, companies running gas stations, unquote, should, quote, bring down the price that you're charging at the pump. My message to the companies running gas stations and setting prices at the pump is simple. This is the time of war and global peril, unquote. Well, not only does President Biden not know that the oil price is set on the world market and subject to dynamics that are not under the control of US oil giants, but also his comments brought out of the woodwork the Amazon founder, Jeff Bezos, who argued that Biden's words displayed an apparent ignorance of America's free market economy, where demand and supply dictate the price of goods. This was an own goal, of course, for the Chinese, whose state media reporter, a communist mouthpiece, said, quote, now the US president finally realises that capitalism is all about exploitation. He didn't believe this before, unquote. Well, back to the perfectly sensible comment by the Amazon founder that supply and demand dictate the price of goods. Just forget for a moment draining the strategic petroleum reserve to now the lowest level since 1986. The petrol price continues to climb, more than double what it was before Biden took office. For a fifth of America, the price is above $5 a gallon. So, what happened to these reserves, which Biden released? In June, more than 5 million barrels were exported to Europe and Asia. 470,000 barrels of crude were shipped from Texas to Italy. And cargoes of American oil, strategic reserves, were sent to the Netherlands, India, and more will leave Louisiana in July. In other words, Biden has shipped 5 million barrels from the United States strategic oil reserve abroad after claiming that releasing them would help ease the pain of Americans at the pump. Remember what I said? This is a leader of the free world who doesn't know today what he said yesterday. When the announcement of releasing the oil barrels was made in April, he said this, quote, these releases will put more than 1 million barrels per day on the market over the next 6 months and will help address supply disruptions caused by Putin's further invasion of Ukraine and the price hike that Americans are facing at the pump, unquote. Would Americans have believed the increase in supply was destined to domestic refineries in order to lower US petrol prices? Well, now he's been caught out and he's telling the oil companies to bring down the price that they're charging at the pump. Biden keeps trying to blame Putin, calling inflation Putin's price hike. But the New York Republican Congressman Andrew Carbarino has dished it up to Biden saying, quote, in November 2020, a barrel of oil was $43. A month before Putin invaded Ukraine, it was $87. He summed it up simply. Biden's excuses are a joke, unquote. Sadly, not as big a joke as the man pretending to lead the free world.